Hello everyone, welcome back. New year, new tree. This is a Shana Japanese Maple. It's another dwarf species, and it is a red. And if you look right here, here's a $499 tree. $500 for this Shana at the local nursery. But they're running a 50% off sale, so it was actually only $250. And I was stoked to get this tree for $250. Doesn't have a real huge trunk like a lot of my trees, but the branching is awesome on this tree. Just needs a few minor improvements to make it, in my opinion, perfect. But of course, as usual, the squirrels decided they wanted to come and chew it up. Luckily, this is the back side of the tree. Immediately went out and got some repellent to take care of them. But instead of this tree being ready for an exhibition next year, now it's going to take me another 5 to 6 years, possibly even longer, to get that wound healed up. In order, so far outside, they haven't attacked any of my other trees. Earlier, a couple of months back, when it started to warm up again, I had saw some signs of some boring insects, so I put out some acephate. And if any of you know what acephate is, it's used for fire ant killing. But if you ever smell the stuff, it smells very strong of sulfur. So they haven't really messed with any of my trees on the benches, and I think I can attribute it to that. I'm using some stuff called Critter Ritter. Don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll see. I'm also going to get some live traps. And I'm kind of torn right now because the place that I have my nursery at doesn't have a lot of squirrels in it, I think because there's some minks out there. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is do some live trapping, and I'm going to release them out there so the minks can eat them. I just don't know what else to do. But let's go ahead and get started with this tree. Where you're looking at it currently is the front, thank goodness. There are a few nicks down here at the base of the tree from this aggravating squirrel, but the real damage is here in the rear. That's just a really, really large area of damage for such a small tree. So we're really going to have to do our due diligence in trying to get that healed up. I'll show you how bad it really is. Look at that. Just decimated that thing. And again, if I would have paid $500 for this tree and had that happen, I think I would probably be out tomorrow with a shotgun, even though it's in the city limits, and blowing some squirrel away. So we're gonna have to get drastic with these damn squirrels. Getting out my concave cutters here. We're gonna start with those. Front of the tree, like I said before, is here. So we're going to work on, I believe this large branch right here is not going to be necessary to the final design. It's too thick for as tall as it is on the tree. So I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be removing it completely. This one on this side is actually a secondary trunk as I see it, more so than a branch, because of the angle that it comes up and it immediately splits off. This one here is just very long and straight and really doesn't split off till way up here. And I've got some smaller branches like this one here and a couple of them above it that I can move into its position to fill in the void that it's going to create. And I've got these low branches here that I can maybe manipulate up into a position to where it'll go ahead and fill the void that this is going to create by eliminating this branch. So what we'll do first, just because, is remove it clear up here. And we'll check it out again, see what we got. Yeah, I just think it takes your eye away from the rest of the tree and the beauty of the rest of the tree, so I just think it's going to have to go. So we'll have to get back up in here and make a couple stage cut. Now, if you're not familiar with the Shana, it's actually a red leaf species, kind of like DeSojo. Pretty common in my area. And like I said, this is a really good example of one until the squirrels got a hold of it. This tree probably would have been ready for exhibition in a couple years' time, maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, but now that's been shot in the head. So we'll have to just do what we can. Now what I'm using is that spherical knob cutter, and it just broke on me. Gonna have to contact them about that. Well, I'll be darned. Another one bites the dust. Well, I thought these tools were gonna be bonsai vision tools here. Must have had a bad batch of castings because they're all. I've only broken 2, and like I said, last time that happened, he immediately replaced it, so I'm not too worried about it. But must have got a bad batch of them or something, because it's they're all breaking in the exact same location. So. To get in here with a and do the same work with the knob cutter. Just want to dress this wound side up here a little bit so when it does heal over, it'll heal over flush. Won't leave an unsightly knob. I think that's pretty good. See what that looks like from the front now. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. Not to add more insult to injury on this tree or anything, but that had to go. So far with these bonsai vision tools, we've had some good luck and some bad luck with specific ones. And like I said, last time it happened, I contacted him and sent him a photo, and immediately he replaced them. So I'm hoping that'll happen again on this one. As you guys saw in this video, I didn't even put any pressure on it, it broke. Let's see, I need to eliminate some stuff up here as well. Trunk here that crosses, and luckily we've got another one above it on the back to replace it with. So the overall look will be the same. Let's try the smaller spherical knob cutter and see if it does any better than the larger one. It just seemed that the 11-inch ones are the ones that I've had a problem with. So I'm wondering if there was just a bad casting run. Because that one there, it's the same thing, only smaller. No problem. Went right in there, did the job. So, we need to continue to go through here and bring some stuff back. Bring it back into perspective for a little bit smaller sized tree. Okay, now that we've got the majority of the major structural trimming done, there's a lot of tertiary branching on this tree already, so I don't think we need to take it all the way back to nubs and grow it out from there like most trees. Plus the habit that this thing has, it tends to have real small, tight internodial distance growth. The couple things I want to address on the tree, because of the situation we have now where the half of the back side of the tree is completely gone. I left extra on the back of these, a few of these branches, I left a bunch of extra on. because my hope is that once it compartmentalizes that wound back there, this is going to be a very vigorous growing portion of the tree, with the understanding that some of this is sacrificial to help with healing. I left some stuff growing straight up on the mainly this branch back here is kind of too big, and I wanted to cut it way back in here to these smaller branches, but I'm afraid that if I do, it'll probably die, which in turn, it's directly above this wound site now, so I need something right there to help keep bringing sap to that area to help keep healing now that we've got the situation that we face. I'm actually going to go ahead and probably pot this up in a bonsai pot instead of a pre-bonsai pot, because I don't really need a whole bunch of rapid growth per se for trunk and or main branch thickening. We're going to get a lot of growth from this tree because we're going to fertilize it pretty heavily in order to get the healing processes started. But really this tree is just going to be made to work on ramification. The trunk is what it is. It's the size it's going to be. It's nothing that's going to get a whole lot larger per se as far as an overall design for this tree. So we're going to go ahead and take it out of the pot that it's in currently, cut the roots back. Once we get finished with that, we'll come back and we'll check out some bonsai pots to put it in, and we'll get it transplanted into that, get all the wounds dressed up, put the healing paste on it, and then we'll do our final 360. Okay, we're back. We've got it trimmed down, roots cleaned off of the soil it was growing in. I wouldn't call it field soil because it's not a lot of clay. It was more humus and compost type material. But I really want to show off the trunk on this thing and the nabari. The nabari on this thing is great. It's got all the way around even. I mean, even back here where the squirrel damage is, it's got a nice nabari all the way around. And that was one of the reasons I selected this tree. That and the dense amount of foliage it's got at the top. Check out the nabari on that baby. All the way around. It's in real great shape. Actually, I like it better on the back side than I do on the front side to an extent. But it's really nice and wide here, and it flares out. It's got a few little minor marks here that we can cover up with some paste, and they'll heal in one season without a problem. But it's got a really great nabari. The pot that you just saw it in is one option for a pot. I have several to choose from. I don't necessarily want to plant this thing in a real shallow pot just yet, but I see it in a real shallow pot eventually. I'm trying to intentionally leave a little bit too much rootage on it, again to help with the healing process. So I was looking at this oval as a possibility. I'll put it back in there again just so you can see it again. It's fairly deep. It would make a good pot. We're going to have to slide the tree all the way over to this side so it'll balance out properly, and it'll sit somewhere right about in there. So that's one option that we have. Okay. This branch is going to need to be wired over here just a little bit. Nothing real major. But I don't know, I kind of like it right there as well, to be quite honest with you, but we'll see. So that's one option that we have for a pot. The next option I think is a little too large for it. This pot's almost too small for the canopy right now. And I think this one here is another oval pot, but it's considerably larger. I just think the tree may get a little lost in this pot. Just looks like it's way too big in my opinion. Looks like a dinky tree in a giant pot, which is basically what it is when it's in that pot there. But the foliage is about to the right dimension of that pot. If it was shallower, it may be a little bit better as well. So then we turn to our other options. And for some reason, I don't know why, 90% of my trees are in square pots. They just are. Another option that we have is this one here. And again, I have to bring it all the way over to this side here. Rotate it just a little bit. Right about there. Something like that is an option, which I kind of like. I want to, when I pot it, I want it to be moving that direction, because it has a natural tendency that way already. So we want to accentuate that or showcase that as far as movement is concerned. That's a little too much, but when we get it tied in, it'll be right about there. So I think that's probably a good location for this. Maybe up a little bit in front. Somewhere right around there is the orientation. So I like that. I like this option. And then we have one more, which again I think may be just a little bit too large. It's another. But I almost kind of want to put it in a pot that's a little bit too large. And I think this one, compared to the larger oval that I have, is more in the proper dimensioning for the overall design of the tree. It does make the trunk look a little bit smaller, but I want to focus on allowing this thing to heal. And the only way it's going to heal is if it has an ability to grow. And the only way it's going to have ability to grow is if it's in a larger pot. Normally I put them in those big containers, as you always see. They're 2 foot by 1 foot by 6 inches deep. And that gives me tons and tons and tons of growth. Well, I'm trying to do that with this tree only on a smaller scale, because I don't want it just to explode with a ton of growth and get real thick branches everywhere. I want to kind of keep everything compact, but at the same time let certain areas grow for healing purposes. So I think this pot here might be the answer to those issues. And I need to orient it so it's a little bit more upright, kind of like that. It'll still show off a good nabari, and it looks pretty good in this pot. So I think this is probably the one we're going to end up with for now. We'll eventually obviously put it in a smaller pot. But for what we need to do with this tree at the moment, I think this is going to be the winner. So we're going to go ahead and get it into this pot as well. I need to do a little bit of work on the roots to allow it to be in this pot. Allow it to sit the way we want it to sit. Got a couple preventing us here at the bottom. Tidying up a few of these downward growing roots. I think we are ready. So this actually pot has already had a tree in it at one point in time in its life, so I've still got screen in here, and I've still got some wire that I might be able to utilize to tie the tree down with. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see how this wire works out. First, I need to figure out where my scoop went. Where is my scoop? There it is. So I can start scooping some soil. container. It's going to be raining here tomorrow, so that's another reason I wanted to do this evening. Alright, pot placement looks good here. How are we looking here? Could probably stand to be a little more upright. Pull some soil up underneath the front here. Pretty darn good there. Get my pliers, tie it down in the wire, tie the wire down. Wire cutters. Tightening this down, I'm kind of trying to move this airline tubing down so it doesn't get caught up in the twists of this wire while we twist it to hold it down in the pot. We'll go ahead and get this thing buttoned up, get the soil filled in, get all the wounds taken care of, addressed, and healed, sealed over, and then we'll come right back, do a quick 360, and this one will be headed for the bench. Stay tuned. Well, there you have it, folks. Unfortunately, the squirrels got to it before I did. But when life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade. So that's what we're going to do. Just like my Sharp's pygmy. I don't know what it is about these dwarf Japanese maples, but for some reason squirrels love them. Well, they love all maples because they got a sweet sap in the spring, which sap's going to start flowing here pretty soon. But I'm going tomorrow to get a backpack sprayer and a whole you-know-what ton of squirrel repellent, and I'm basically going to douse all of my benches, all the trees on all of my benches, the fence around my benches, the trees around my benches, everything and anything I can around my benches. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Go get some coyote urine maybe. I'm also going to get some live traps, and I'm going to live trap as many of them out of here as I can and relocate them the nursery from where I live is an hour one direction at 60 miles an hour, so it's a good 60 some miles away from here. So push comes to shove, I'll release them out there. But that's what we got for now. So let's go ahead and do a little quick 360 on this one and keep our fingers crossed that this spring is good to this tree and it'll heal up pretty well. Fortunately, it's in the back, just like the Sharp's Pygmy. So, you know, to show the tree, this is the front. You're not really going to see the damage. But for me personally, I know it's there. And of course, if somebody was to look around the back, they're going to see that it's there as well. So, I just don't feel comfortable showing a tree that has wounds on it as well as a tree that's not finished. But I like the movement that this is doing. It's actually moving to your, as you see the tree, it's to the left. As a tree, if you were standing in front of the tree, it's to the left. If you're standing behind the tree, it's to the right. I like how these roots here kind of emphasize that. These are sloped where the roots on the other side are kind of upright, so it almost looks like it's a natural thing. And actually, I think it might have been a natural way that this tree grew. At some point in time of its life, it may have been pushed over by something. Maybe a deer brushed up against it or a person. And this side roots grew down at an angle, and those grew down straight to try to support the tree as it grew. So there you have it. We'll go ahead and stick this one out on the benches. Let me know what you think. If anybody out there has any other remedies besides a shotgun, because I can't shoot a gun here in the city limits, I'm open to suggestions. But there's some stuff called shotgun repellent, and it's supposed to repel everything. So my cat's probably not even going to be on the benches anymore. But I appreciate your views, appreciate your comments, and thank you for watching.